What's good with the people? I am Damo, the political plug. This is the chop up. I'm here with my dog Toya G. Y'all know how this goes. Toya, how are you?
Made it to the end of another month. I can't believe it's the end of March, and we are
Already.
moving on to quarter three. I mean, sorry, quarter two. So rocking and rolling, and really, getting deeper into this thing. We pushing through, but every week is a little crazier than the last, and I think we'll talk about some of those ways. With like the stock market, Tesla, the Department of Education, price of eggs still through the roof. People, 20,000 people being fired from the Department of Health and Human Services, right? So like that's a new development this week is 20 more thousand people just not working because of claim redundancies. I guess must time in the White House is coming to an end April 2nd, May something. I don't know, but
I think it's
he's
like
already.
May 3rd. It was the end of May. I think it's
It's
the end
the
of
end of
May
the beginning. Either
or
way, it's
beginning
supposed
of
to be.
May. It's in May. He's supposed to be
I
leaving.
think it's the beginning of May, but by then
Yeah.
he's gonna be done torching everything. And I mean, fortunately, he's been torturing himself. And if he's not torturing himself, then people are torturing his cars and shooting them up and selling them and getting rid of them. So it's just a tangled web that we've been weaving. And here we are to take some of the thread and do our part with it, if you will. So yeah,
Shout out to
that's
the
that.
homie Tyler in the chat pulling up. Y'all make sure y'all say what's up as y'all pull up as well. Because there's a
Sure.
we have a very, very interesting conversation to have. Something, probably the most interesting conversation we've had about a Democrat since the election. I feel like. I think it's some good, but I'm going to say, we're going to find out whether or not it's some good or bad controversy. Right. And to go ahead and get right into it, we're talking about the comments that were recently made by Jasmine Crockett about Governor Abbott, the governor of Texas. Now, Jasmine Crockett is what you would consider her like a rising star, right? In the
Absolutely.
in the Democratic Party, she's known for her brutal honesty, speaking the truth, not willing to back down to
Quick on her feet.
very quick on her feet. Most notably was the what was it? Bad
Bleach,
build
bleach,
bleach,
blonde, black, bad built body. We love her.
whatever.
We
Yeah,
celebrate Jasmine Crockett on today. I know a lot of people kind of cringe because she did the Kendrick Lamar walk a couple of weeks ago, like after the Super Bowl. She had
yeah,
a video, and some people was like, "Relax, relax, relax, relax." But
yeah. Take a
I
step
don't
back.
know. You know what I'm saying? I always think it's gonna be corny when political figures use social media to try to do the cool thing, the hip thing, and so it's little lines, very thin lines between
Very
what's
thin
being
lines.
relevant and staying connected with your constituents and staying connected with the lifeline of your party, which is what I think she's trying to do, and be the lifeline of the party. And it's
Uh-huh.
another thing to be just kind of completely corny. So it's rough. It's not easy out here trying to find the line. And I just think them little heels sliding up against the floor just didn't really do it for a lot of people. It was a lot of
Yeah.
it was a lot of push off. You know what I'm saying? You get a foul for that in the NFL. I mean the NBA. You can't do that to people. And so when you
Yeah.
start, it didn't look right. The arm was too extended. It needed a little. I don't
And
know.
then her, the group she did it with didn't do the best to sell it
It
either.
didn't
So
give. It didn't give.
yeah, but
But
I mean either
that's
way,
not
but
the
it's love
point.
still.
That's
It's
not
love
the
still.
point. Because I
Yeah.
say that's probably the only time I ever seen people be like, "Now, Jasmine," and I was indifferent. I was up on the fence because I thought it was cute. Like I thought everybody else jumping on the trend was cute. Most people jumping on the trend was cute. So I'm not the one to hate. But my good sis, she be out there. She be in the mix, and that's something I can always.
she's in the mix, and you can appreciate that about her. You feel me?
Mhm.
But now some folks feel like she has crossed the line, right?
Again,
Like, if we
again.
if we're being honest, because some recent comments that she made got folks out here really like, yo, what are you on, right?
Yeah.
Because recently she referred to Governor Abbott as Governor Hot Wheels
I will do.
at a
I
human
will
rights
do.
campaign function. The irony in that though, like at a human rights
Like,
campaign function,
you know what?
we hear him now. For folks, it's like, well, what, like, okay, Governor Hot Wheels, what would be the problem with that, right? It's ableism, right? It's mocking a disability that someone has, regardless of political affiliation, whatever else. So like the idea is that, well, you know, if y'all supposed to be about being inclusive and, you know, the big tent party, everybody has a space. Where's the space for people that are mocking the disabled, regardless of political ideology? So I'm gonna let y'all hear her. You know what I'm saying? Hear her say it y'all self. Y'all, and so y'all can develop your own opinion about whether or not, you know, she was mocking or what type of comment she was making.
Just what's your temperature on it? I'm very curious to know.
Very curious, because I mean, I've heard mixed results, mixed feelings. Everybody don't feel the same way. So
from across the board. And while we get it going, shoot, May, R Radio, Black Man, title we already said was good. It's Big Love, High Priestess. Everybody was good to y'all in the chat. Make sure y'all say what's up if y'all just coming in. We just getting started.
All right. So Jasmine Crockett, in her own words.
In these hot Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot mess, honey. So yes.
She called that nigga Governor Hot Wheels.
All right, man.
Now, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I want to preface it with this. I am no stranger to off-color jokes. Yeah, I'm being honest. I like a off-color joke every now and again. I want to preface it with that, right? But I work in DEI. DEI is important in terms of what I do and what I care about, and like from both a professional standpoint and like a personal standpoint. And so inclusive, I work to display inclusive language. Right, I like my speech to make sure that I'm not being offensive in any type of capacity, and in that way, and make sure that, you know, something like a disability or something like that isn't being mocked. You feel me?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I cannot be mad about the comments that she's making about this joke. I can't be frustrated about this joke.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't think she should be harassed. I don't think she should be tore down. You feel me? I don't think that she should be thrown under the bus by the Democratic Party. I don't think she should be censured. Right? Is it a off-color joke? Yes. Do some people have a right to be offended? Yes, they do. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, when the people that's expressing the loudest offense are some of the most offensive motherfuckers. Abbott and the rest of the modern conservative party are some of the most dismissive, disrespectful, evil individuals in how they talk about people. Yeah. They're some of the most demeaning. They use some of the most dehumanizing language. Now, do two wrongs make a right? No, it don't. But at the same time, somebody like Greg Abbott is not I can't look at him as a victim in this instance because he was made fun of because of his condition, because he's made people's lives terrible because of their conditions.
Absolutely.
And this is the least. This should be the least of our worries. These types of comments, nah. So was it off color? Could it be considered offensive? Yes. Mm-hmm. Do I think she was wrong for making the comments? No, not really. I don't. What about you? Do you think she was wrong for what she said?
No, my fear with people like Jasmine Crockett is always, because I mean, I feel like I even have people like this in my personal life. It's always the slight concern that you too comfortable in front of people, because like say that shit and get your shit off, but like that is a conversation, you know, that's in the cuts. Now, I will say, you know, High Priestess is like, nah, everybody in Texas calls him Hot Wheels. It's not really a secret. This is not my first time hearing this as a non-Texan, right? And you know, he gets against, yeah, like this is not, it's not new news. It's like a constant statement that people have been making. To be clear, and not that it matters, but just to give some context for how he ended up in a wheelchair. I think he was in like a treeing accident or something like that, and got injured. Maybe fell out of a tree, if I'm not mistaken, and was paralyzed, and so took on his disability later on in life. But I mean, I think even that should give a little bit more sensitivity to people in your same boat. When I look at Governor Abbott, and the reason why I can't all the way say that he's wrong, that Jasmine Crockett is wrong in this situation, is that I look at him kind of like I look at Caitlyn Jenner, and it's that when you actively work against, like you pointed out, your own interests and the interests of those people, like I think it becomes pretty clear to everybody else that you get in the jabs that you get in, and that this don't apply to everybody else. You know what I'm saying? This is very specific, airmail to you, because if you don't give a shit about them, then why should we give a shit about you? Now it's a slippery slope, and it's a twisted, tangly little wire. You know that I can understand, because there's some people who's just like, I love Jasmine Crockett down, but this was just like, in poor taste. Like, this just wasn't it. This justifies,
and you can call it that. You could call it in poor taste.
Like, if some, body wants to get bold, start talking about her lace fronts or something like that, then is it going to be a problem? Is it going to be an issue? Are you going to scream anti-blackness or misogynoir? And so, like, these are legitimate questions. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I think bro gotta land what because he's the biggest, one of the biggest and earliest. I need to be clear, the earliest, I think, probably prototypes of what it looks like to try to eliminate DEI. He been trying to get that shit out of Texas. He been trying to, not have special interests. He been took DEI off of, UT campuses, I think, before it was ever a federal order to start really stripping a lot of that shit. So, like, make no mistake, whatever, he gets, he pays for. I think it just put the people in the audience in a precarious position, because, like, do I laugh because it's funny? Do I try to, like the political plugs of the world who have backgrounds and experience in DEI? Is this a time where I can kind of be a little bit bolder with my shit? Like, it just, it's awkward. But I don't think awkward is bad. I think awkward is just awkward, and people got to be good being awkward, right? One of the comments I want to look at is Ms. Wright said, we are still very much inclusive. She didn't mock people in wheelchairs. She's just a monster who happens to be in a wheelchair. Shout out to Zoe for being in here. Said, I finally got to make one of these. As far as Crockett, I want to be focused on disabled folks' reaction while we asking a bunch of able-bodied people if they offended. And I think that's really real. Is like, people with disabilities to the front. Like, what do you think? How does it resonate with you, or how does it reverberate in you, or how do you internalize these moments where an elected official whose responsibility, as much as, she says, is to defend you, and she's speaking on your behalf and she's into your interest, but that she could throw a jab like that? Like, does that make you uncomfortable? I mean, like, for example, a fat person, a person in a big body, like, if I'm talking shit about another fat person, like, am I just speaking the facts, or is that some internalized fat phobia? You know what I'm saying? Is that some shit I haven't dealt with myself? Like, those are real questions we have to ask ourselves, and that I'm interested in hearing from disabled folks about, because Zoe is absolutely right. We can't speak for, and sometimes we do have a tendency to be offended for people. That is a thing that I've seen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we do it often. Especially like liberals, the left side of the aisle get offended for people very often.
And so this goes back to, our conversations we've had about comedy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what's above board and what should or shouldn't be able to be discussed. It goes to like the questions about lyrics when we, got really up in arms, for example, about what was the word spaz that was in Lizzo's song. And then of course Glorilla said me and my girls go, and then said the R word, then changed it quickly.
J. Cole got canceled for a little bit for his usage of the R word. So yeah, for sure. And I think that's where the criticism of Jasmine Crockett comes in, is because Democrats, y'all stay getting offended for people that's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, white people, y'all stay getting offended about racism. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, even in terms of it, even in terms of just like the people who care about DEI, like, these are the type of things that you call out. This is what you would call a microaggression. That's why I prefaced it with, there are definitely people who are in a position that hear stuff like that and have every right to be offended. You know what I'm saying? To take offense to that type of shit, right? And to criticize able-bodied people for conversing about its offensiveness. While that's happening, hold on, did I drop out?
Nah, you still here. Jasmine, I mean, not Jasmine. I don't even know where I got. We're talking about Jasmine Crockett. Miss Wright says, so dropped a comment that I gotta get my kiki on about real quick too when we get a chance.
Go
Can we
ahead,
go
read
ahead
the
and read it?
comment. Yeah.
Miss Wright said, "Come on, good folks. Giving Crockett grief is where our traction, pun intended, goes to die. We have to stand on business that there is a difference between us and them, right? That there is a line, that there is both difference and distinction, and how more liberal-minded folks are or left-minded folks rather are approaching some of these conversations versus how more conservative people are talking about it, how they're approaching it, what they're trying to say. I got that traction pun. It was 10. Chef's kiss. 10 out of 10. And so I really enjoyed it. Tyler said Republicans be quick to say gotcha when you get caught doing what they do all the time. And that's why this shit is not really persuasive in terms of people being upset about it that are conservative or have certain politics, because it's kind of like similar to Elon Musk. It's been very just enlightening and ironic and mind-blowing for him to be like, it's the people who are seeking to harm my dealership. It's so mean. It's so rude. Like, why are they so upset? Why are they so angry? This like rules of confusion for why people are acting the way they act is like weird as fuck when you know what you be doing. You know how you be moving. Why? I just can't understand why people would be so cruel. Why are they celebrating the demise of my company and my business? It's because you are a piece of shit.
Yeah, people don't like you.
You have reveled in the failures of other people. You have created failures for other people. So you can't be like, I don't understand how people could be so mean. Like, yeah, this like hurt people. Evil shit begets evil shit. So yeah, Greg Abbott, people gonna be on your neck. Yes, conservatives, people gonna talk bad about them and talk bad about you because look at the creation, look at the world you made, right? And this is why, like, so my bad. Go ahead.
Nah, and because on top of that, what you're complaining about is DEI.
Yeah.
What Jasmine Crockett did was a microaggression. Right? She used offensive language, right? She used somebody's disability to make fun of them. But you are the motherfuckers that say DEI is a bad thing. Why is there a demand for an apology? Y'all are arguing for a world where caring about that type of shit shouldn't matter. So which one is it? That's why it's like, okay,
this is light work. Like, niggas is actually playing with you with kitty gloves. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if this really disturbs you, then what kind of reality do you think you've created for other people?
Speaking of what type of reality they created for other people, all we can do is just go down the list of fucked up shit that Republicans have done and said, and just flat out and offered no apology. Literally made arguments about against cancel culture and all that other type of shit. Let's go through it. Trump remarks about Serge Kavaleski speak to a bigger problem. We see the pic. He's literally mocking somebody that's disabled. Where was the conservatives that was demanding an apology?
Silent.
Defending them.
Relaxing.
Hold on. Furious Trump mocks Muslim soldier's mother, Ghazala Khan, making comments about as her husband was going off, talking about, she was just standing there quiet because she wasn't able to speak. They don't let Muslim women speak.
Wicked.
We can keep it going. Trump mocks child protester at a chaotic New Mexico rally. Louisiana Republicans overtly racist tweet sparks calls for censure in U.S. House.
Bruh, gotta sneak in Tyler's comment real quick. Trump called Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas in the middle of that address he did a couple weeks ago to Congress, and nobody said a word. It was a blip on the radar that night when it happened, and nobody said shit about it. They allowed for this woman to continue to get bullied by the nigga directly. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Black Man. Thank you, appreciate it. The love is definitely appreciated. But that shit is crazy.
That's why. Hold on. Let's not forget. At Trump's at they actual rally, you got comedians calling Puerto Rico an island of garbage.
Yeah, I don't care about that shit for real.
And niggas say, "Oh, he's a comedian. Oh, he does things like that." What are we talking about?
You know what I mean? I guess the thing that blows me is that they're like, "Gotcha is you. I thought you were supposed to be better." Like, what moral compass do you get to work from to even have that referendum on what I should be doing or how much better I should be? That you having that line or that expectation for me lets me know that you're on the underbelly of shit. We know you that means you know that you are terrible. You are the scum. You are the problem. You are violent. Your rhetoric is problematic because your expectation is we were supposed to, this is it's not becoming of you. But clearly that the logic embedded there, right? What is being implied is that you're cool with being a piece of shit. You know you are the party of a piece of shit. And that's just kind of more on the playbook and more in the script for you. But that we should be ashamed because, well, not we, that they should be ashamed because of the ways they want to believe things, or that I should be ashamed because I don't walk around speaking negatively about other groups of people, but I definitely, hit a 1-2 every now and again in terms of some shit like that. Look, right, and shout out to Little Indian Pigeon Feather Bay. I did not get to acknowledge you being up in the building, but definitely. PC.
So shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. But look, because this gets us to the next question. Is this an appropriate way to respond to conservatives? Right? Because I was watching TYT. I was watching a clip. Actually, I was watching somebody talk about TYT. Actually, nah. Yeah, I was watching somebody talk about a TYT clip. My nigga Psychopathia. Shout out to Psycho. And the clip that he was showing, they were up in arms like, well, there's so many things you could talk about with Greg Abbott. I'll never be one to defend Greg Abbott, but to attack him in this way, this is out of pocket, right? This is the wrong way to go about it. So, so do you think that there is that like this is the incorrect way to approach conservatives? Do you think this was like more lowbrow? Do you think that we should focus on, keeping the, whatever they call it, I guess keeping it PC, keeping it liberal? Yeah. Yeah.
I think, I'm trying to find the number that I'm looking for. Maybe 8 years ago, or maybe even a few months ago, I would have been able to answer that question like, yeah, the norm and the standard of how you treat people, how you talk in these particular contexts, how you deal with, hardline disagreement between political, representatives, this and the other, like that shit OD, like that's out of control, like that's unacceptable. But I don't know, like the rules are, what they say in Bringing Down the House, the rules is out, all the rules is out the window, some shit like that, like whatever. I'm trying to make a corny connection to a line that just say, ain't no rules, my nigga. Like, ain't no boundaries, ain't no expectations. So it's hard to say that, yeah, that's problematic. This is problematic. Like, this is not how you should react. I think this is the realistic way you act when you are put in an environment and when you are given a standard that is waning in value. That, what I'm saying? Like, when you have a president that's just like anything goes, like, what do you expect for other people to do? Just sit back and let you get all your good ones off? No, nigga, I got some shit to say too. I'm a comedian too. I can get funny too. You know what I'm saying? And like, I don't understand why we wouldn't expect people to do that.
And that's and I'm gonna take it even a step further and be like, this is exactly how we should do it. Mm-hmm. This is like, listen, the reason why Donald Trump is in power is not because conservatives love his behavior. They think the offensive things that he say and the offensive things that he does, they hate it. They can't stand it. Why can't the guy just focus on policy? Why can't the guy? But guess what they do? Still vote for his ass.
Love it. Yeah.
They still vote for his ass. They'll step out and say, no, he should have not mocked that reporter, or he shouldn't have said that about women, or he shouldn't have said that about black people, or he shouldn't have done this. But I like his policies. That's where Donald Trump gets his. That's why we say that he can't. He's untouchable, because it doesn't matter what he does as long as he's aligning with what they want from a cultural standpoint. They good.
Let me take that rationale a little step further, Plug, because I feel like people are like, there are some, conscionable conservatives who are just like, I wish he just focused on the politics. That's what I'm really voting for. I block out the rest of it. Don't agree with that. But, just I kind of in terms of what I value the most to care about, I'm going to vote how I'm going to vote. And it's some of them, but it's also even more delusional motherfuckers who would be like, yeah, I don't like the stuff that he says, but I like his style. What does that mean? You like, because they're trying to create a distinction where it's not one.
He's
what
honest.
I'm saying? They're trying to create difference with no distinction. Like, he doesn't have to do all that or say all that, but he tells the truth. He tells it like it is. He doesn't shy away from. you can't detach that shit from what's actually being said. It's people out here who not shining from the truth and saying the Bernie Sanders of the world that people shouldn't be in poverty and go poor, or the Nina Turners, in general, just in the world that we live in. It's the Nina Turners that's saying that you should be able to meet your basic needs working a minimum wage fast food job. That shit is just true. They're being audacious and saying that shit, but you don't want to hear none of that. None of that is appealing to you. But you're a good person. And you're not with all the, hateful things that he says. You just like somebody who gets in there and tells it like it is.
And tells it like it is, yes. And then just keep it honest. Like, get the fuck out of here.
You're a terrible, hateful person, and you like being able to echo terrible, and you like to be a ventriloquist where you feel the shit and then somebody else says it for you. And that is so crazy to me. Like, stop it.
And so, but that's why I'm like, I'm cool with whatever line somebody because I've always said politics is a dirty game. Like, what have Democrats gotten by being the ones to be like, oh, that language we have to reject, oh, we have to dismiss this, oh, we have to be against it? What we didn't got from it? Because liberals have been so quick to dismiss each other when they feel like they may have stepped on somebody else's toes. That's the reason why we constantly liberals cannibalize their own. Democrats cannibalize their own. And this would be a reason that I mean, let's say before Donald Trump was like during the Biden administration, this would have been a reason where Democrats would have hopped down Jasmine Crockett throat. You want to know why they're not doing that? Because they too weak. They need Jasmine Crockett. It's like, damn, Jasmine, should you have not? We're gonna call her behind the scenes. We're going to talk to her behind the scenes. But we need, in order for the Democratic Party to have any type of legitimacy, any type of image of pushback or you know what I'm saying, any type of resistance to what's going on, she the main one you see. Y'all need her.
But here's the thing that's going to piss me off, though, because I'm going to predict the future for that ass. She's the real reason why they look like they got any sign of life, any sign of integrity or backbone left right now. But I guarantee you, when it comes to looking at the playbook for how to overcome Republicans in these upcoming elections, they're gonna go back to institutionalized, foundational Democrats in the old party, in the old way of thinking shit, and ain't gonna be no pump, no boost for these new age Democrats like her, like AOC, whatever. They're gonna keep playing the same tired ass playbook. That's why I feel sorry, because of course they got the fucking black woman out here being the mascot for what they wish they could be. They got her out here being a mascot for what they should have been months ago, years ago, the first time Donald Trump ran, or when there was any sign that he was trying to come back to that's what she's giving. But when it's time to hand the reins over, when it's time to go ahead and boost somebody and put him in position, I bet you she still should be sitting her ass down there in Texas, sequestered off, siphoned off, if not silenced completely. Right, you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing that pisses me off about the whole game, is the way that Democrats fucking play. Is they will ride a moment and ride a wave. They'll ride a young Obama. They'll ride these eccentric ass people who are not afraid to get out there and kind of be in the face and rebel some feathers, whether it be from Elizabeth Warren and some of her non-traditional, non-establishment ways of approaching shit. Bernie, this black woman, like all of that shit. And then when it's time to cash in, shit, Stacey Abrams, they love it. They eat it up. But when it's time to cash in on that shit, they'll be like, traditional white man.
They hit that flip. I mean, that's literally what we saw in the last election. They, like, literally, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are appealing to we're attempting to appeal to the sensibilities of moderate conservatives. There were more conservatives in the joint than Palestinian protesters. Think about that. Whose side are y'all really on? So like, nah, like, hey, there doesn't need to be some referendum on. I better not hear Democrats say nothing about Jasmine Crockett. If y'all want to speak to her, you better call her on the phone and be like, hey, we like what you're doing, but you can't move like that. You can't. I mean, you gotta. Don't do that. You feel me? So.
Vyasa said, sad but fun fact, I have no clue who Jasmine Crockett is. I promise you, if you YouTube, like when we get off of here, don't leave the app now. It's not important. It's not that important for you to leave right now. But after the show, just type in Jasmine Crockett. You will see some form of media that will demonstrate just why she sticks out, why she stands out, why white people might have a beef with her, why black people have rallied around her, and people just diverse people from different backgrounds, and why, you know, liberals or Democrats in Texas are, you know, head over heels in a lot of ways for what she got going on, because she just is no hoe. And it really is a blessing to kind of see and watch. I just wish and hope that people, A, that she stays protected, and B, that she's able to rise some of this energy that she's given into some meaningful position that allows for the Democratic Party to reposition itself as a valuable option. Tyler said it best. She's gonna be a new fave.
And listen,
black girls around here.
And I do hate that we have to kind of, because in a way, downplay like ableist language. You know what I mean? Yeah. I hate that. I hate that that's the reality. I hate that that people who experience those types of things and then fight for more inclusive spaces for people who may not be able-bodied, right? I hate that they're having to be a part of this, right? Because again, as able-bodied people, we speak from a position of privilege to talk about whether or not we offended or what it is. But at the same time, it's like, yo, we can't try to do this whole we got to get it right every time or you tore it down. We got to do it the same way every time or you tore it down. At some point, we gotta be able to say fuck them. Like that's why I like say we know we had the when they go low we go high. Fuck that. They consistently go low. They go low as much as they can. So if that's where we at, if our enemy is down there, fuck it. Meet me in the streets. We get it out the mud.
It reminds me of a motto that I kind of live by, and this is one that, you know, I've had to equate. People have always associated with me being like, you know, this super nice, super, you know, kind of easy, like soft person. Like, you know, she's so compassionate, she's so caring, she's so reasonable. Toya is just gonna be really chill and really cool about it, both in that context and also in the context of like how I navigate my femininity, like what I, you know, how I present, what I do, how I move. My motto has always been never confuse what I don't do with what I can't do. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because I'm not constantly kind of showing you this particular side of me don't mean I'm not crazy just a little bit. You feel me? Like, you should be concerned. I be concerned. The reason why I act the way I act is because I get uncomfortable when I get too upset. It's not a good place or a good space for me or other people to be in. So it's just like very intentional. Same thing with the way that I move around, you know, in terms of how I present my gender. Like, you know, I'm of no illusion that I'm not an attractive traditional woman, like in a traditional like wear dress. I know what I could put some makeup on and do some shit. Like, we could put the hair up instead of having it like, and then I throw a dress on to really blow your mind. You know what I'm saying? Put the like the whole shebang. I could do it. I just don't. So, but you should never confuse what I don't do, what I can't do. Similar, I feel like that's what Dems need to start kind of selling, is don't confuse what we don't typically do with what we can't do. We could get in there. You know what I'm saying? We could be in the trenches. We could do it however it needs to be done, but shit's gonna be done. A lot of that criticism is why Dems can't get in there and get busy, is that it seemed like the Republicans is always able to not only push the envelope in terms of what they say and how they act and how they move around, but the shit that's actually being done. So a lot of people are saying, okay, talk your shit, but also move the needle, like in all ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, act brand new on them real quick. What's good to Chris R? Tyler said, going high got us nowhere. I don't know what's going on with Damo on his end, so I'm just in here kind of talking shit and filling in the gaps until he comes back. But Mumu said, do y'all think she should run for governor of Texas or president next? And I think she is even more of a black woman than Kamala Harris. And I put air quotes in a black woman, like quintessential black woman, like, you know, black American woman, like the trenches experience through and through. I won't say the trenches experience because I believe she went to like private. I don't know.
Not the trenches at all. She went to a good school.
Like, she disputed that. You know what I'm saying? She never gave the illusion that she was like from that background or whatever. Or none of that, right? But she's a little bit more like, I think, palpably and aesthetically and what's the other word that I'm looking for? Experientially black in those ways that she would never.
She has a black affect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the affect. That's what the word is that I'm looking for. That she creates is just, I think, a little bit too black for these really, really high offices. I just hope she gets. I want her to get a cabinet spot, and I don't want to reduce her to just that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest about what Kamala did, but I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like her, I want her. I want Pete Buttigieg. I want that nigga to be president, I think. But I want
Pete.
Yeah, I'm going Pete 2020. 2020. Pete 2028. But I don't think president is what it's gonna look like. Tyler said going high has got us nowhere, which is facts. Miss Wright said, not too much of my girl Michelle now. Go high didn't mean go dumb. I choose to take it as be smarter. And I don't disagree with that. It's about being strategic. It's about reading the play. That's like a phrase that I use in general in this life because I think a lot of people need the situational awareness to understand what the situation calls for. And I think that was what the invitation was to do, is to just be a whole lot more situationally conscious on how you have to play the game. And sometimes that means I'm going to let you have I'm gonna let you
see, here's the thing. I think the attitude of the they go low, we go high is, I think it's the quote unquote right attitude, but it's the problem is in practice. You feel me? Like, how do you even in a fight, right? How do you battle? Like, how do you box somebody square up that's willing to kick you in the nuts? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know that they like, how do you fight somebody square up? Like, come on, I got my dukes up. And I'm thinking we going head for head.
My titties, bro. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah, or shit. I'm trying to fight niggas 1-on-1, and it's 3 of them. They like, fuck that nigga. We jump niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you?
Then it's like how you don't pull the blade out. How you don't?
Yeah. How do you not do something else if you know who you fighting is fighting dirty? I get the integrity part of it.
This is all situational. This is all situational, right? Like, if it's time to get down, it's time to get down. But on the other side, I mean, but in certain situations, it's time to get down, but not in every situation. Like, this was a great moment. It was a hee moment. But if she started every time, because this is also her second time coming for somebody's appearance and aesthetic, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's a difference between you being ready to eat somebody up and that being your whole brand, to where it undermines kind of the ability for people to see you as somebody who is a person who purports true diversity. That's not, having sidebars and snickers and saying fucked up shit like beach blonde body. It's some blonde Texan constituents that might have been like, well, goddamn, Jasmine, what's good? How you really feel about me, my nigga? Like,
bleach blonde and bad built.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry, but I'm fighting with you. I can't do nothing about that. And so, like, I feel like it's important not to alienate constituents. It's important to be situationally aware. Like I alluded to at the beginning, it's important to be in good and proper company when you make those jokes and kind of think, I don't know. And I don't, because I don't want to oppress respectability, but I also think that's what politics proper kind of demands. It's not the same rules and standards for me as a civilian or a private citizen moving and grooving, how, you know what I'm saying? But for you in that position with that spotlight, you do have to kind of be second and third level critical and conscious of how shit might look, feel, sound to people who you need the most. But I don't know.
I last thing I say, and we can get to the next topic is I don't think Democrats gain anything from focusing on being the morality police. Politics is a dirty game. Right. Yeah. And if you're critical of Jasmine Crockett, be critical of Jasmine Crockett. Any attempt to cancel her will be literally Democrats stabbing themselves in the neck repeatedly, as they've done, you know what I'm saying, but up until this point in the first place. So like, at the end of the day, is there a right to be offended? There sure is. I don't think nobody's saying don't be offended, take that L. But I do think though that the idea that, she should be canceled or she should be held to the standard that they like, no, fuck that. Fuck that. We're not holding the president of the United States to that standard. Move around.
That part. No new rules.
So,
we playing by the rules. Real quick, I want to switch gears and kind of get into a conversation before we turn it loose for the night, because I got to move and groove. It's moving faster than I needed to. But we know that an executive order came down. Well, first we saw, as soon as Trump got into office, the breakdown of the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Council, and so a committee rather, and they are the ones who were litigating, issues of workplace discrimination. Now, to be clear, they were already backlogged, already had a ton of shit that they needed to be on top of, and were already way behind. And then all of a sudden, it became a reality that they were no longer taking any cases of any matter, making any decisions. Basically, they were suspended indefinitely, if you will. Then we saw most recently, and our homeboy, good little brother, she finna jump in here and really break this down to you, but that we saw an executive order that now makes it legal in federal facilities and in the context of federal contracting to discriminate, right? And so this turns back decades of legislation introduced by Lyndon B. Johnson in 1964 to create, some type of meaningful political blockade to discrimination based on race, sex, gender, class, or any other protected classes that they've identified. And they got, these conversations about basically reintroducing segregation into federal facilities got people talking. Like maybe, us being segregated ain't so bad. And so that's really a lot of the conversation. I got some questions about some things, but I think if we listen to Sheed first and listen to him and some of the issues, really what he talked about is where I get some of my questions that I have about this topic. So this is Aaron Parnell.
Yes. I was going to play Aaron first. Just a quick rundown of the ban on federal contracts. And then we're going to get into Sheed's response.
The big news right now, segregated facilities are no longer explicitly banned in federal contracts, according to latest NPR reporting. After a recent change by the Trump administration, the federal government no longer explicitly prohibits contractors from having segregated restaurants with fountains. According to NPR, this segregation clause is one of several identified in a public memo issued by the GSA last month, affecting all civil federal agencies. Now, according to legal experts, this is a symbolic move, but it is still incredibly meaningful in its symbolism. There are still state and federal laws that outlaw segregation and discrimination that companies across the board need to comply with. And legal experts say that this change to contracts across the federal government is significant nonetheless, because these provisions required federal contractors to adhere to and comply with federal civil rights laws. And well, now they don't have to in this symbolic move. I'll do a full breakdown of whether or not this is legal on my...
All right, so that's a pretty straightforward explanation, and people kind of took that and ran with it. And the boy, she really thought that the way that people was having the conversation based on that really wasn't what it was. So let's get she pulled up. All right, where you at? Let's get it.
Some of y'all talking about this segregation topic all wrong. Some of y'all talking about BET and white folks stopping you from being able to use water fountains and back of the bus, a whole bunch of stuff that's not going to actually play into your life right now. Trump's executive order to lift the ban on segregation stops you from being able to fight for your rights if you are being discriminated based on your color, creed, or religion, sexuality, things like that. The Trump administration has effectively lifted an explicit ban on federal contractors having segregated facilities in the workplace. The action follows an executive order signed by Trump in January that replaced President Lyndon B. Johnson's 1965 order to prevent hiring discrimination. In other words, discrimination will not be federally blocked. Trump said himself, he is the federal government. Now, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is still in place where the federal government can stop discrimination from taking place. What Trump is saying is, I'm not stopping that. If discrimination happens, the federal government will not be stepping in to prevent it. Segregation, none of that. Remember, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was to outlaw discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. One of the first things that Trump did when he got in office was to eliminate the EEOC. All of this is playing into the bigger plan. Some of y'all's fantasizing segregation like y'all don't know the horrors and how hard it was on black folks during the Jim Crow era. On top of that, segregation ain't going nowhere in so many different ways. One of those ways is redlining. Redlining can be defined as a discriminatory practice that consists of systemically denying the services such as mortgages, insurance loans, and other financial services to residents in certain areas based on their race and ethnicity. My point is, segregation ain't something that's benefiting black folks. Like, I don't know why a person needs to explicitly say that. Like, huh?
So I don't know how much of that conversation you've heard, Toya, in terms of whether or not Like I guess the term that we use, romanticizing segregation.
Well, yeah, I've heard a lot. Like a lot of people, I mean, over time, even before these repeals, just talk about like Black people. I feel like talk about pretty regularly in my circles what it would look like to have our own separatist spaces, right? How much better it would be, how unconstrained we would be, how much respectability we could potentially start going out the window if we really turned inward and took advantage of our own places and spaces. Now, I'm gonna get to some of that in a second, but I think in terms of the romanticization question, like, I guess the question I want to ask about it is, do you think people would actually try to do, well, actually, and we'll get to that in a second. Here's my first question. Do you think that there will be people with enough audacity to do that? Like, I haven't heard of any reports of anybody taking, him up on that freedom that they have now and being like, okay, y'all got to go out here to go someplace else. I'll be honest. So I told you when I was thinking about it, I think her name is Miss Catherine Jackson, but I might have to double check because I could be wrong. I think I actually am wrong. But
I think it's like Goebel, Catherine Goebel.
Let me see. Hidden Figures.
Catherine Goebel.
Because I mean, to know my Black history. No, her name is Katherine Johnson. Actually, her name is Katherine Johnson. And she was a Black woman who worked for NASA. And she was a mathematician along with Dorothy Vaughan and Mary Jackson. And if you remember that scene from Hidden Figures, apparently she will. And I want to say, yeah, doesn't matter. In the scene with Kevin Costner, Taraji P. Henson's character had to use the restroom, but the facility was way down someplace else, and she had to walk down there in the rain. It was far as hell away to where people of color could go use the restroom, Black people specifically. And so she had to get out there and walk in the rain and walk back in the rain. And, they had the nerve to be like, where you been? Where were you? And she was like, I had to use the bathroom, baby. Like, y'all don't let me use or have access to these facilities in here. So I had to go the long way to go do that. And when I think about what this could create, that's the image in my head. So I guess I ask to you, now that I have that background context, do you think that could happen? Do you think there will be some audacious white people who would be crazy enough to do some shit like that?
Who would be like,
now you can't use the bathroom in here. Now you can't eat in here. Now you can't sit in here. And we're not gonna serve you.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see it. I don't see motherfuckers being like, you can't use this restroom. I'm gonna be honest. Like, one, because we, like both Aaron and Rashid pointed out, like civil rights protection still exists. Like the Civil Rights Act, right? The 14th Amendment. These things still exist. These things are still in place, right? Like while those things are laws, what Trump is doing is getting rid of the policy that enforce those laws. But it doesn't make the law. It doesn't make the laws disappear. So,
gotcha.
Somebody being like, "Hey, I'm like, you Black, you can't use this restroom." Oh, you can get that motherfucker shut down still. Yeah, that's like, yeah, you can still have you can the whole. I mean, just even from a your customer base, like even if you have people that's bold enough to do that, is it literally like people who are going to hear that a business is bringing back old school segregation and be like, I'm a frequent that business? Hell no.
Exactly. Like, I think that's the trouble is like, yeah, the law is protecting you, but like the court of public opinion and the power of social media is going to work directly against.
It's going to destroy your shit.
You know what I'm saying?
Look how they treat Elon Musk.
Yeah. Like, that there's ways to, they're going to find a way. They're going to find a way to turn your shit upside down. For sure, Steve, right? Tyler reminds us we had segregation in high school in 2002 in Mississippi, just for the record. So we're not that far removed from, like real ironclad, separate, you go over here, we go over here policies that really shape institutions, not just kind of maxims or quiet expectations. Like, there were literally laws that allow for that to happen as recently as that would have been 23 years ago. Shout out to GA for popping in. But I also said Rashid got a voice made for a cartoon character, which when he get going, when he really get in that upper register and start, talking his shit and popping his shit, like, that is the facts. I will say too, in terms of people trying it, and I don't know how this will work, but I really, there was conversation about how now this opens up opportunities for Black folk to be like, don't you bring your ass in here. Them whites are only toilets. These is nigga pies. These is not white pies. These is nigga pies. Your pies is down the road.
So I've heard that, right? I've heard that. Here's why that shit don't work, right? Are white people really
reveling it? I enjoy it for a second. You like, here's why. Like, go ahead.
Well,
Wish
no,
it
because
away. Hurry up.
I think a part of the problem is that niggas like that's a serious conversation. Like niggas is really like, oh, if they trying to make discrimination, we just gonna say white people can't come. They're not trying to. Like white people are not trying. Like white people are breaking their back like to get in the place to use the same restroom as niggas. Like let's be honest, they're not.
I mean,
Listen,
the fetishizers would be highly upset if they weren't able to make their way into black spaces.
Bro.
They love necrophilia. Is necrophilia not a real thing?
no, it is. But
They would be completely turned off and repulsed by it.
But when we talk, like, first of all, we trying to discriminate against them anyway, just because they're perverted, not based on their race. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, though, like the idea that now we can start segregating, bro. White flight already handled that part. Like, so yeah, we had desegregation, and then white flight took care of that. There was no, and then now the reverse of white flight, gentrification. It's flipped. Now they're buying up the hood, but pushing niggas out to the suburbs and shit like that. That's like so. This idea that now we can start segregating, they haven't stopped. They haven't stopped doing things and creating economic strategies to make it to where they're able to occupy whatever space they want and keep niggas out in whatever possible way they can, usually through financial and economic means.
That's what Bias are getting at in the comments. Just think country clubs, etc. They simply call it a private club. That's how they hit it years ago. They're comfortable with that now. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you start to see the things being normalized. Is like, I think it'll be less hardline, get your ass out of here, and more just less on the nose, a little bit more discreet, but we'll be able to wrap it up and tangle it up in the language of exclusivity or only a certain type of people. Same way they do, you know what I'm saying? Shit, houses and the communities,
yeah. I got even more subtle. I got even more subtle version than that.
Yeah,
dress codes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Easy.
Oh yeah. Those type of jeans.
Separation all the way.
Yeah, we can't let you.
And then meanwhile, a white person with the same jeans is sitting at the bar somewhere looking stupid. Krishar said, "I think I'm maybe more rural, and I'm sorry. I think in maybe more rural areas and sundown towns, things might get iffy. I don't know. People might try it. His supporters aren't that smart and don't care. And this is true. Some people willing to take it to the extent. I will say these are federal facilities too, and so there's some distinctions in that because I don't think you can just be a regular ass like restaurant. I think that like in terms of federal contractors is who this law applies to. So I wouldn't be playing fast and loose if I was just a neighborhood restaurant owner for the things that we talked about above. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that's a safe or smart decision for you to make. But I guess my question, my next question, because I want to keep the combo moving, is do you feel like Black people can romanticize or should romanticize segregation, or like, well, I don't know. Do you think it's healthy? Like,
to romanticize segregation?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because, for example, I mean, I feel like the Black nationalists that we know, and you know who we talking about when we talk about that, are a whole lot more practical in the sense that their goals are to siphon off resources and reallocate resources from the state to specifically serve the needs of Black people. So they are the ones they're the Black nationalists that are taking the approach of these resources exist. The law has been established to cut niggas off specifically from benefiting from these resources. So we want to cut into some of that chain of resource, whatever it is, whether it's legal flexibility, whether it's the ability to, Black people to get in on the dispensary, the marijuana industry, whether it's the way that youth prisons are being built and Black people are siphoning off. We specifically want to work within the frameworks of the law to recalibrate the law to work directly for Black people, right? So they're like the anti-Obama in the sense that we don't give no fuck about no laws not being written for Black people. We finna use the law, use the system, use the state, use its power and resources for the enhancement of life for Black people, right? That's kind of their commitment and how they get in there with Black nationalism. But other Black nationalists are like separatists. Like, they want their own spaces. They think there should be heavy lines and demarcations. Do you think that is a good way to think, a realistic way to think, even if it's unattainable, even if it's a utopia? Do you think that's how Black people should be thinking in 2025 in America?
I think it has some value. I do think it has some value. The problem that I have with that way of thinking though is the idea that separation, and this is an argument I've made a few times, is that separation is the remedy to white supremacy, and which is a question of proximity, right? If we change our proximity to whiteness, then we'll be better off. But my pushback against that is that our problem with white supremacy isn't a question of our proximity, but their control over resources. So if it was one of those things to where, like, yeah, you know, we can just go off and all just move here, and then we were able to allocate, or we were able to get resources, we were able to be in control of our own resources, have what we need as a community to function and operate, then that's cool. But if we going around yelling about separatism, but they still control the water we drink, they still control our ability to access electricity, they control our ability to have information, internet, phone lines, everything else. What separation? How would we really separate outside of just being by white people, which is something that they're A-okay with doing? Like, yeah, go off and do whatever. But until we solve the question of resources, right? Proximity doesn't do anything, because I mean, like, for example, I've had conversations about questions of niggas talked about, like, oh, if we had a free black state, right? If black people had their own state, they could be, we'll be straight. Forgetting that Africa is a whole free black continent in 2025. Right? You don't have the type of colonization that we saw back then. And to certain degrees, they do still, slavery is still heavy in Africa in different ways. But the people who are enslaved the most are literally people who mine the resources that U.S. tech companies use in order to produce all the shit that we use in everything right now.
Right.
So proximity, like separating. The people in the Congo are completely separate from America. Yeah. Got a whole ocean that separates the two. Why is the demand for electronics in the United States causing a genocide in the Congo? So it's like, yeah, like you said, I think that the coalescing and coming together is a beautiful thing. Saying I just want to be around and be and connect with black people, beautiful thing. That's a great way to think. But how far does this separation go? And if it's really just about being next to black people and black people living all in one space, we have that. Yeah. like we are heavily segregated right now.
Well, I mean, okay, and I want to say Vyasa and GA are agreeing with you in the comments. Vyasa said no romanticize segregation. It's a horrible idea. We don't have the infrastructure to even flirt with that idea, past or present. And I continue to agree by saying facts, globalization on top of it, we would just get smothered out from the world stage. GA said, agree, resources and modes of production are a necessity. And it's our responsibility to develop and implement sustainable systems, which I don't think we've been able to. And then the people who have, like, they get snuffed out, they get killed, they get, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it was a young man. I don't know. There's just been a couple of people who have had innovative ideas, and I feel like every time we even see black geniuses in our community and people who create things or innovate, people is like, man, watch them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you on the list now. They finna try to come steal your shit, take your shit, and not give you no credit for it. Or you have solved a problem that now challenges the profitability of that problem for the government, for the state, for white people. And so they're not finna let you get that shit off, because that means you're gonna cut into their bread. I am of the conspiracy language that there are probably solutions and, cures to all types of diseases and issues and shit like that. But we don't hear about them because it is less profitable to have those solutions to those problems. It's the same reason why we don't have, meaningful transportation infrastructure. It's more profitable for privatized companies and other individuals who are stakeholders in
private ownership of cars, the entire car industry, exactly, even though public transportation is more efficient.
The oil industry, fossil fuels, like all of that shit is in bed together, right? And if we start cutting into the way that they make money, then all of a sudden you have a whole bunch of corporations and elites who are upset about those solutions. And so it's just not realistic.
Innovation is.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, innovation is monopolized by capitalism.
Yeah.
If what it is that you're innovating will cut into profit, it's not valuable. It's not appreciated. It's not respected. But go ahead.
Mumu said the only way separatism will work is if black people have our own nation. Even then, we will have to deal with other nations. And Vyasa says this idea of a black nation within a nation is well over 100 years old. It was needed then. Now we just need to focus on more tools to succeed in mass numbers. And both of those are facts, right? When you become your own separate entity, now you have to figure out what relationships look like. And I said this all the time. You got to figure out who your leadership is. What is your system of leadership? What governs this place in this space? And we can't agree on that, because if you too gay, too trans, too black, too much of a woman, too, anything, you know what I'm saying? Too rich, too disabled. People like, you can't lead us. I won't fall under your leadership. Your interest ain't my interest. I can't rock with you. And so that inability to be supportive of, you know what I'm saying, meaningful leadership really calls into question what that might look like in terms of formalizing something. I'll take it a step further, and this is why I'm skeptical of, segregation and separatism, is that niggas don't support the stuff we have now, right? You had just talked about the fact that we got it now. You know what I'm saying? We have these types of spaces and these types of opportunities now, but black people shit on things by other black people. I dare to believe if it was an option, like if we had to build a utopia and none of the stuff that we talked about was a barrier, and black people had a state that they could go to, maybe Texas really, like, they just cleared that motherfucker out, no disrespect to Texas, and was like, our niggas go to Texas. You know what I'm saying? Like, cool. We won't bother y'all. We won't bomb your shit like we did Tulsa, like we did Move in Philadelphia. We won't come, turn your neighborhoods upside down. We won't bother y'all, and y'all get good quality life. Y'all can live. I dare to believe, but there still be some niggas who's like, I'm not going over there with all them niggas. I can't stand niggas. It's like the anti-blackness is so deep and so embedded. They be like, nah, I need a little bit of diversity. I need a little bit of whatever. It was the same kind of illusion that I think we kind of had in our heads. And I won't call it an illusion, because I feel like all of our experiences are unique to us and important. But like the same mindset of going to a PWI over a HBCU, a lot of people had it in their mind that it was just going to be a realer experience. Keep in mind, these same people still going to grocery stores, still going to businesses, still doing business with everybody else in the world, who was like, but I gotta, I can't go to a HBCU because I got to be exposed to the rest of the world. You are constantly exposed to the rest of the world. Right. You will constantly be around them. So you don't necessarily have to go to school with white people or other diverse people to get some of those same quality experiences. But I really just feel like niggas don't really support nigga shit like that. Like, how many apps have we seen to get everybody off of, Instagram and X? How many, you know what I'm saying? Like the deterioration of the BET awards, the undervaluing of those awards, the undervaluing of the NAACP awards. Like, yeah. Like, I don't see it in the cards for us at this moment that we would all galvanize and jump over at the opportunity to go be in an all black everything type of situation. I just don't think enough black people see the value in that. They don't see the beauty and the purpose in it.
And I'm gonna take what you're saying even a step further.
Yeah.
To be like, the first thing a nigga do is complain about a nigga's prices, right? Like, black people for a damn plate, my nigga, you this much, and goddamn, like, yeah, it's good, but shit, it's still okay. I want you to think about the circumstance though. Most black businesses start out with less than $100,000 in capital.
Yeah.
In terms of running a business, that's terrible. Most black businesses are underfunded. Most black businesses lack the type of reserve capital that can help them get through their first couple years as they start developing a profit. So yes, niggas is taxing because they need it to run the business. They're not Walmart. They can't take a loss the way that Walmart and Target or whatever trust fund baby boutique can take a loss.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a passion project and a means of survival. You see what I'm saying? Like, those things matter. That's why we got to take those things into account. But then when it's just like, man, black folk be charging too much, we not understanding why niggas is charging too much, because they need that bread. That's support.
And it's multiple. I say it's so multifaceted what it would take for us to the unlearning and re-orchestrating we would have to do to make it sustainable, because we can't take black capitalism with us. We can't take a two-party system of decision making with us, right? I dare to believe like
what niggas gonna do when they can't argue Democrat and Republican?
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they're gonna be lost if there's not that same kind of default system and structure. We can't take the patriarchal, masculinist white men. I mean, men got to be at the forefront. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things that got to be kind of squaws out of the deep dark places of who we are and how
Did
we
you say
move and work.
squaz?
Squaz. Squaz. I'm on spring break. I don't have to be precise with my language.
I mean, you do
But
have a master's in rhetoric, so you.
please and thank you. Let the record show. Google me. Matter of fact, go to my website and book me, higher definition, lec.com. But we have to find value in the things that we separate, right? If we're going to take it and couple it over here, we have to put it on the pedestal. We have to edify it. We have to treat it as though it is
white
better
ice
than
can't be colder.
You know what I'm saying? Like, then, protect it. And then I think too, black ain't got no fine lines. So then in terms of who get to stay and who get to go and who letting who in and who y'all gonna legitimize and who get to be black enough and where to mix people go, like, it's a lot of questions that I got for how niggas organize themselves that make me skeptical. So instead, I think what we should do what the comments have suggested, which is to figure out how to move the ball around, how to run the play, how to navigate things, where we are and how we are intermixed and intermingled with everybody else.
We need to be more socially cohesive before we start talking about any of the other shit that niggas is talking about. We need to have an appreciation for blackness, and not just the type of blackness that's your blackness. You got to be able to look at another nigga and be like, yo, that ain't me, but you black. That ain't I don't understand that, but you black.
You know what
I'm saying? That matters more than anything else. And until blacks start to matter more than anything else, I'm not trying to hear shit about separation.
We could, chat. We could. Until then. Big love to y'all. The seasons are changing. The days are getting longer. The sun is out to flirt with us just a little bit more consistently and in ways that matter. So I hope that y'all are coming out of your shells. I hope that y'all are feeling good, keeping your mind right, keeping your body right, and doing things that make you feel good on the inside. This is it for this week. I'm happy that we got a chance to jump on this Saturday. I'm gonna be out the mix next week, so it might not be a show. If it is, it'll just be the plug.
Oh yeah, I'll be one deep. Yeah.
But after that, and once we get into April, I'm done with debate, baby. I'm done with all these tournaments. I'm ready to have some more consistent conversations with y'all. The pendulum is gonna continue to swing, and a lot of shit's gonna keep continuing to happen. So we gotta keep talking about it. We love y'all. Listen, here's my request. If you watching this and listen to this on the run back, on the replay, and you have a disability and you feel comfortable talking about it, chime in and let us know how we should feel about the comments from Jasmine Crockett about Governor Abbott, or about, normalizing, rhetoric. Because I'm quick to cut somebody like, we don't use no R word around me. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are in vegetative states. People are not vegetables. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm very particular about how we talk about all of those things. I'm expanding my language to be considerate of neurodivergent people. And I'm trying not to call people irrational and this, that, and the other, because it's baggage with that shit. And it's an unlearning process that I am down to do the work for. But I don't want to be moving fast and loose without really having the perspective of, my disabled people to tell me how I should move and how I should think and how I should govern myself. So if y'all get a chance, comment, chime in, let us know how you think about that. And everything else that we talked about on the show, please, by all means, the post commentary, we love it. We appreciate it. I'm grateful for it. Yeah, we be sticking and moving. I say this every week, and it's the plug's turn to respond to comments. Y'all heard me say it here. So if somebody don't say something to you, it's on this man. But we love y'all so much for loving on us. So,
also, if it like from the blind spot perspective, because we defending certain shit, and arguably so we defending ableist language. So you
even saying blind spot. Remember we was in debate, be like, you can't say that.
See, yeah. Link.
You can't say that.
Link. But anywho, let us know. Let us know the gaps. You know what I'm saying, that exist due to our privilege. You feel me? So with that being said, we appreciate y'all spending time with us and all of that. Y'all go ahead and enjoy y'all Saturday. This
I said hi, make sure I said bye. The chop up show is ending. Make sure if y'all in the chat, say good evening. Hit that thumb, hit that love real quick before we get up out of here too. I'm sorry, plug. I just had to make sure our family, felt.
It's the chop up. We out. We see y'all next time. All right.